Hey guys, welcome to Math for Kids by a Kid. Today I'm going to talk about adding and subtracting polynomials. Before we get to that part, I need to tell you what like terms are and what unlike terms are. Like terms are terms with the same variable raised to the same exponent. So, right over here. All these monomials have the variable x, and on all three terms, the exponent on the x is 2. And in the second example, you can't see the variables. You can think of each of these three numbers multiplied by x to the power of 0 because that just equals 1. And so they all have the variable x to the power of 0 in this case. Unlike terms have different variables or the same variable but raised to different exponents. So 2 times x to the power of 3, or 4 times x to the power of 2, 1 over 5 times x to the power of 10. Let's say we need to add these two polynomials together. So in this case, we have like terms here. 5x and 6x are a pair of like terms, and negative 2 and 7 are a pair of like terms. In 5x and 6x, they both have the variable x raised to a power of 1. In the second example, negative 2 and 7, they both have an invisible x raised to the power of 0. That just equals 1. When we add polynomials together, we add the like terms. Two like terms add or subtract to produce a single term. So in this case, we're going to add 5x and 6x. And when we do that, we add these coefficients. And so we get 11x. And we add negative 2 and 7. And we get 5, positive 5. So 11x plus 5 as the final answer. So what I showed you is how to add two polynomial expressions, and now I want to show you how we would subtract two polynomial expressions. So let's use the same polynomials as before, except we are subtracting them. So subtracting a polynomial is equivalent to adding the inverse polynomial. So what that means is we change this negative to a plus sign, and then we go into the second polynomial and change the signs on each of the terms. So the positive 6x becomes a negative, and then the negative 2 becomes positive, and so we end up with 5x plus 4 plus negative 6x plus 2. And that's really just 5x plus 4 minus 6x plus 2. And from here we would solve. So we'd add these two together, and we get negative 1. So instead of writing negative 1x, we can just write negative x. And then we add these two together, and we get 6. So we get negative x plus 6 as the final answer. Let's say we have to add these two polynomials together. 3x squared plus x minus 1 and 2x minus 2. So 3x squared, there's no other term that's similar in 3x squared in the sense that it also has x raised to the power of 2. So there's no other like term for 3x squared. So we're just going to leave that as it is and go ahead and collect all the other like terms. So 3x squared plus 3x minus 3. And we can use algebra tiles to model out these polynomials. So one big square shaded equals x squared, one unshaded big squared equals negative x squared. One rod shaded equals x. One unshaded rod equals negative x. One shaded small squared equals 1. And one unshaded small squared equals negative 1. So let's say we need to use algebra tiles to model out this expression. Negative 2x squared plus 5x minus 10. So negative 2x squared means two big squares that are unshaded because it's negative 2x squared. And then 5 rods that are shaded because it's positive. And then 10 of these little squares unshaded because the negative. Let's say we need to use algebra tiles to determine the result of subtracting these two polynomials. So what we'd first do is we'd write it out, but the second polynomial as the inverse polynomial because we are subtracting here. So we get negative x squared plus 3x minus 2 plus, I'm just going to change the signs up here. So we get negative 2x squared plus x plus 1. And from here we would model it out. So 1 big square unshaded, 3 rods shaded, 2 small squares unshaded, 2 big squares unshaded, 1 rod shaded, and 1 small square shaded. And now we would solve. So if you have two like terms and one is positive and the other is negative, then you can cancel them out. So in this case, the two like terms are negative 2 and 1. And I'm choosing these terms because one thing they have in common is that this shaded square and this unshaded square gives a 0 pair, so we can just cancel one of the unshaded squares and then this shaded square, and so you're left with negative 3x squared plus 4x minus 1 as the final answer. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon.